Hi everyone, this is Carrie from Stamp with CT. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Texas. Thanks for joining me today. I have a fun project for you. There may be an official name for this style of card. I just call it the Peekaboo Sentiment card because you can see the sentiment that's stamped on the inside when the card is closed. So it's just got a little cutout, and then that focal image piece is what keeps those two pieces of cardstock together. This went over really well at my stamp class, and I've done this style of card in a card swap before, and everybody seems to like it, and it's very easy to do. So I'll show you the products that we used, and all of these can be found in my online store at stampwithct.stampinup.net. So we are using the Animal Expedition Designer Series paper. These colors are awesome and cute little images that some of them, the dies that coordinate with the stamp set also coordinate with some of the images on the Designer Series paper. I did use this rhino stamp from the stamp set, and then also the sentiment "Thank You Big Time" right up here. A fun stamp set. I used the rhino die, and I will go ahead and bring in my paper trimmer so that I can show you how I did the card base. Sometimes it helps just to get that visual. So this is a piece of cardstock. You know, it comes in 8.5 by 11. I just cut it in half at 4 1/4. I scored it at 5.5. So this is just your standard card base. But what we'll do is slip it in the trimmer. Gonna line it up at 2 inches and cut that piece off. We'll reserve that because we will use it for our card. Then we'll also line it up at 1 inch, and this piece will just be a scrap. Whoops, I may have bumped it. I did. So at 1 inch, and then this piece will be a scrap that we don't need. But that's how you get the card base with the Peekaboo. Okay? So I have one already cut to show you, and I'll give you those measurements one more time. You're going to cut your paper in half, your 8.5 by 11 in half at 4 1/4. So when you have a 4 1/4 by 11 card base, score it at 5.5. Cut a 2 inch piece off and reserve it, and then cut another 1 inch out for that Peekaboo opening. So we'll go ahead and use the bone folder. Get a nice crease on that edge. Then I do have a piece of Whisper White for in the inside. We can go ahead and glue that down. Use some Tombow. And we're just going to center that. It's just a 1/4 of an inch smaller. That will go right inside. This is really a pretty quick card. Then I have some Designer Series paper, and it is cut, the top piece for up here is 4 by 2 1/4, and then for this layer I've got 4 by 1 3/4. So we'll adhere those down. And just make sure I've got it going the right way. Aren't those birds cute? This paper is so fun. I love the colors too. Okay. So then we can go ahead and use our stitch shape to put this card together. I'll put just a little bit of glue on either edge of that. And all you really have to do is line it up, make sure that it's at the end. Let me do that one more time and make sure. And set that down. Bring in our circle and just put it where we want it. You could also use Stampin' Dimensionals if you wanted to. I'm going to be popping up my rhino though, so I didn't want it to have too much dimension. Whoops, I didn't let that dry, did I? Give it another second. And that's all you need to do. Isn't that cute? So then I've got some of the leaf ribbon, and I loved this the minute I saw it. I had to have it. I do have a little tip for you with ribbon also. I use a Stampin' Dimension on the end of the ribbon so that when I put all of my spools of ribbon in my ribbon box, I don't have ends going everywhere. And I've been doing that for quite a while, and it's really working well for me. And sometimes you may have to snip that little end off, but most of the time you can pull the dimensional off and actually use it again. So I'm just taking my paper piercer and putting a little glue dot at the bottom of the ribbon. I'll add it. I thought this was fun to have the ribbon coming up like that. We also talked about in my in-person class, you could actually run the ribbon this way as well, so that the rhino looks like he's kind of running through the jungle. I went ahead and stamped the rhino already and cut it out. But that's how I adhered this. I just put a glue dot on the leaf and stuck it down. Let me go ahead and snip those ends off. So I got it a little bit too long. Really does look like a jungle, doesn't it? A little wild and woolly. Okay. So then my rhino, I stamped him with basic gray on, this is actually the gray granite cardstock. So I thought he turned out super cute. If you'll notice, there's a little bird sitting up there on his head. So just to give it a little bit of color, I used Calypso Coral in a blender pen and just picked up a little bit of that color and added it to my bird, just kind of all over. Get his little beak. And if you're not familiar with blender pen, they have a like glycerin solution inside, so it's great whenever you have this. You can use your ink pads, and I'll show you that in case you missed it. You just kind of squeeze. This is the old style pad, and I do feel like it works better with the old style pad to get some ink up in the top, and then you just pick it up and apply it. And when you're done with your blender pen, all you have to do is rub it on a piece of scrap paper, your grid paper, until it runs clear. And even though there's a little bit of staining, it's ready to go for the next color. So I am going to use some dimensionals on our rhino to pop him up. Stampin' Dimensionals are one of my favorite products from Stampin' Up. that really did influence me joining because I love them so much. And then we'll place our little rhino. Isn't he cute? He does really look like he's in the jungle. And then the last thing that I did was stamp the sentiment. I'm using basic gray for it. And like I said, it says, "Thank you, big time." Which, if you're like me, I never have enough thank you cards. So it's really fun. This is a really fun thank you card. A little bit crooked. It's okay though. I may have to take a glue dot and stick that down because it's a little bit wild, but I hope you enjoyed this project, and I hope you'll try something like this the next time you need to make a fun fold card. If you have any questions, you can email me at stampwithct@gmail.com. I'd love it if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.